I believe isolation has its value for periods of time in life, especially after extreme trauma and betrayal. When it comes time to kind of bring that isolation period to start thawing, I kind of like to think of isolation as being in a giant ice cube, with parts of you kind of frozen as you heal. And at some point in time, it's time to bring in some warmth again and let the isolation melt a little bit. For me, I've cut off so many people in my life who were toxic and betrayed me and truly broke me as a person. I've honestly been afraid of letting in anyone new, trusting people, feeling comfortable around them, and even sharing things about myself to new people. There's an underlying fear and paranoia that can get quite loud sometimes. And that underlying paranoia and voice says, what if they do exactly what everyone else has done to you in the past? Will they twist these things against you? Will they use your words against you? This is kind of all I've known from my past, and I don't want these thoughts to always be at the forefront. I started to feel frustration at the lack of human connection, and that frustration slowly but surely turned into motivation. I finally felt like it was time to reconnect with people, but in a way where it was outside of my comfort zone, but in a way where I would still feel safe and feel like it was doable. I first did some research on Reddit to see how are people even connecting nowadays. It's not so easy to make new friendships or strike up conversation, especially when you feel awkward like I do. Through Reddit forums, I found various groups where people connect on mutual interests, meetup groups from the Meetup app, where there are various groups for various interests, and I finally decided to first join a weekly book club. It was hosted at a public space during the daytime and discussing a topic I love, which is books. I was nervous going into it, but it was exactly what I needed to kickstart my thawing of isolation. When you go through extreme trauma and betrayal, isolation is sometimes the only glue and tool that keeps you from falling apart completely. But at some point in time, other tools are needed to continue to grow and heal. And that in itself is painful to know and realize, as change is extremely scary and can be quite unsettling. And it is scary to make these changes and to even try again, but it's worth it for your soul. Through going to the book club, it's given me more confidence and self-assurance that I have the ability to connect with others. I'm able to talk with others. And building connections doesn't have to be so intense and aggressive where they know everything about me and all of my traumas and deepest, darkest everything. It can be light, casual, and fun where all of my boundaries stay intact. So I feel safe and comfortable. And it's truly a learning experience because this is honestly the first time in my life where I've had actual boundaries and stuck to them. If you feel like it's time to thaw, let that feeling be present within you. And start doing some light digging around you in terms of maybe what clubs or groups would you like to be a part of? What sounds doable but still gets you out of your comfort zone? And it doesn't have to be a giant leap, it just has to be a step, one foot in front of the other, and even if it is slow, it's still movement. And movement is the opposite of stagnation. And sometimes isolation can end up feeling like stagnation. So maybe it's time to let the ice of isolation begin to thaw.